Good evening indeed. Welcome to the 2020 Democratic primary. In the Democratic primary, we got a list of four candidates that are going to be battling it out to see who's going to be nominated to lead the Democratic Party and to take on President Donald Trump in November. Current president current president is President Donald Trump, who is the current president of the United States. The Democratic primary has begun, and the four candidates. We are going to be starting with the Iowa caucus. In the Iowa caucus, the four that will be going against each other are Didra Aboud, former Senate candidate from Arizona, who would have been the first Muslim senator in the state and one of the first Muslim senators in the U.S. She was the former Senate candidate from Arizona, even who lost to Kirsten Sinema. We have John Palvatz, a writer and a blogger and a very big time critic of the President of the United States. We have Bo in the Fifth Column, a Southern Belle, a real Southerner who's been pretty progressive, who has been shown off to be pretty progressive. And last but not least, we have Natalie Hines, the security guard at Boston South Station, who announced she is running for president. The primary has begun, and we have begun the Iowa caucus. And in the Iowa caucus, there are no calls yet, but we are currently waiting on our first calls of the night. The Iowa caucus, it's very, very close right now. They're currently saying that Didra Aboud is getting about 30% of the vote currently. John Palvatz is a little over that. Bo in the Fifth Column is getting about 20% of the vote. Natalie Hines apparently is in the lead in the Iowa caucus for now. Too early to call right now, but we are waiting on the calls in Iowa. The Iowa caucus is continuing, and seeing around it, they're saying Bo is picking up votes, but it seems that John Palvatz is now continuing to lead in the Iowa caucus. And just for the record, for the color key, we are using dark blue for Natalie Hines. Just lesser dark blue we're using dark blue for Natalie Hines. Just lesser dark blue for Didra Aboud. We're using light blue for Bo in the Fifth Column. And we're using a tilt bluish gray color for John Palvatz. And John Palvatz is leading currently in the Iowa caucus. He is right now ahead of Bo in the Fifth Column, who is showing up second place. He is ahead of Natalie Hines right now. We have a call to make, the first call of the night, and we are calling John Palvatz the winner of the Iowa caucus. The winner of the Iowa caucus is John Palvatz, the writer and the blogger, and the critic of the writer, the blogger, and he's also a pastor at a church in North Carolina, and he has won the Iowa caucus. We are now moving on to the New Hampshire primary. The New Hampshire primary is pretty big right now, and we have an early call to make in the New Hampshire primary. In the New Hampshire primary, we are saying that Bo in the Fifth Column will be taking the New Hampshire primary. Bo in the Fifth Column has won the New Hampshire primary. The New Hampshire primary has been won by the Southerner from Northern Florida, from the Panhandle of Florida. His name is Bo in the Fifth Column. Now we're headed down to the Nevada primary. The Nevada primary is apparently moving very quickly right now. Didra Aboud apparently is moving very quickly there. She is gathering a huge portion of the vote in Las Vegas. She is getting like 30% of the vote in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, in rural Nevada, we're saying that Bo in the Fifth Column is taking a large percentage of the Democratic vote there. However, it only makes up a small portion of the state, as we see in Nevada. The big areas right now are mainly in Las Vegas and and a little bit in Carson City, as well as big portion in Reno, where in Reno it's an even split. Right now they're saying that Bo in the Fifth Column and Didra Aboud are neck and neck in Reno, but Natalie Hines is currently ahead in Las Vegas, and Bo in the Fifth Column is ahead statewide. And the Nevada primary is continuing on. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Bo in the fifth column is... She's one battle. Apparently, Natalie Hines is now at 70% of the vote in Las Vegas. Natalie Hines currently is at 70% of the vote in Vegas. She's gathering up what she needs up there. It's a tight competition. We are now prepared to call Natalie Hines the winner in the Nevada primary. Natalie Hines has taken the Nevada primary. We are moving on to the South Carolina primary, and we have an early call to make right now. They're saying that Natalie Hines will be winning the South Carolina primary. Natalie Hines has won the South Carolina primary. We are on to our major Super Tuesday. Our first major Super Tuesday ones. Alabama, California. In this Super Tuesday, Alabama, California, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Oklahoma. So Massachusetts. Sorry, that's not the Massachusetts, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia. Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia. Welcome to our first Super Tuesday. The first Super Tuesday where these candidates are battling it out right now. We have an early call to make to say that Natalie Hines has taken the Alabama primary. Natalie Hines has surprised everyone and taken early the Alabama primary in a shocking upset, defeating Bo in the fifth column, who came in a close second place. However, we are calling the state of Vermont. In the state of Vermont, we are saying the Bo in the fifth column. No, the state of Vermont cannot be called yet, actually. In the state of Vermont showing a very tight race between Bo in the fifth column and John Palvatz, with Deidre Aboud getting about 10% of the vote. It is very tight in Vermont right now. In the state of Massachusetts, it is very tight right now. They're saying a lot of vote is going to Natalie Hines and John Palvatz. In the state of Virginia, it is very tight right now. In the state of we have a call to make right now. That in the state of North Carolina, John Palvatz will be winning his home state of North Carolina. John Palvatz has won his home state of North Carolina. And a big victory for Mr. Palvatz. In the state of Oklahoma, we do have a call to make right now, and the call in Oklahoma is that Bo in the fifth column has won his first victory. Bo in the fifth column and his second victory, Bo in the fifth column has taken the Oklahoma primary. In the state of California, it is moving too close. We have a call to make in the California primaries, and that is that John Palvatz has taken the California primary. A massive, massive win for John Palvatz. The California primary has been called for John Palvatz. So far, we have California and Iowa and North Carolina for John Palvatz. We have New Hampshire and we have California, Ohio, California, North Carolina, and Iowa for John Palvatz. We have New Hampshire and Oklahoma for Bo in the fifth column. And we have Nevada, Alabama, and South Carolina for Natalie Hines. We are waiting on calls. We have a call to make. We cannot make a call yet in Tennessee right now. In Tennessee, it is showing that John Palavatz and Bo in the fifth column are neck and neck, with Natalie Hines getting about 20% of the vote there, and Deirdre Aboud getting about 10% of the vote. We have a call to make now in Tennessee. That John Palavatz. John Palavatz has taken the Tennessee Democratic primary. John Palavatz will be winning the Tennessee Democratic primary. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We're still waiting on Texas. We're showing the Bo in the fifth column is getting a lot of the vote, but it is too close to call because Natalie Hines is not far behind, and John Palavatz is not far behind her, and Deirdre Aboud is not far behind her. We are also waiting on the Virginia primary. It is too close to call between John Palavatz and Natalie Hines, where Deirdre Aboud is getting a lot of the vote in Northern Virginia, but not enough. We are waiting on the Massachusetts primary, where John Palavatz has a slight lead right now, and in the Vermont primary, where Bo in the fifth column and John Palavatz are neck and neck. It is way too close to call. Natalie Hines. Natalie Hines is now projected now that Natalie Hines will be winning her home state of Massachusetts. Natalie Hines has defeated John Palavatz in a slither. Natalie Hines has defeated John Palavatz in a slither in winning her home state of Massachusetts. Natalie Hines takes Massachusetts as primary. However, in the state of Vermont, we are now saying that Bo is now in the lead in the Vermont Democratic primary. It is very close between him and John Palavatz, but Bo is in the slight lead right now. In the Virginia Democratic primary, they're saying we have a call to make now, and that is that Natalie Hines will be taking the Virginia Democratic primary. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Natalie Hines has taken the Virginia Democratic primary. And in the state of Texas, we are still waiting on it. We are saying that Bo in the fifth column and John Palavatz are really neck and neck in Texas right now. Natalie Hines has gotten a lot of the vote. It is way too close to call between these three. Texas could be a long night tonight. However, in the state of Vermont, we are now saying that Bo in the fifth column has won his second state. Bo in the fifth column has come on top in defeating John Palavatz. Bo in the fifth column has defeated John Palavatz and will be winning the Vermont Democratic primary. Wow. And we are waiting on Texas right now. The primary in the great state of Texas is taking a while right now. We are watching the tally right now, and no one is disqualified yet. No one has dropped out yet. We have a call to make in Texas right now, a major call to make right now in Texas, and that is that Bo in the fifth column has won the Texas Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column has taken the Texas Democratic primary. Amazing. Our next round of Super Tuesday calls. The Louisiana primary is the next round right now. And we are going to be waiting on to see who wins the Louisiana Democratic primary. Our next round of Super Tuesday call will be Louisiana. And we are saying very simply that Natalie Hines will be taking the Louisiana Democratic primary. Natalie Hines has taken the Louisiana Democratic primary, and that Louisiana Democratic primary has gone to Natalie Hines, the security guard of Boston South Station. Right now, we are showing that in the total tally, Natalie Hines is in a current lead right now of all of them. Nellie Hines, hang on. Nellie Hines currently has 56. Nellie Hines is now leading it from 56 to Bo's 52. Actually, no, we are saying that we made a mistake here, a little error here. We wish to correct something. We are saying that John Pelvots is now leading, is now the current Democratic frontrunner right now. As we enter the next round of Super Tuesday calls. The next round of Super Tuesday calls are going to be Wyoming, Washington, North Dakota, New York, Nebraska, Maine. Idaho, Hawaii, Georgia. Bear with us, we have some technical difficulties. We have the next round of Super Tuesday calls, and it is a bunch of them right now. The next round of Super Tuesday calls include Maine, New York, Georgia, North Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Idaho, and Washington. And in the Georgia Democratic primary, we are saying that Nellie Hines is going to be winning the Georgia Democratic primary. Nellie Hines has taken the Georgia Democratic primary. We're saying that in the state of New York, we're also saying that Nellie Hines will be winning the New York Democratic primary. A massive win for Nellie Hines in the New York Democratic primary. We are also saying in the state of Maine that Bo in the fifth column will be winning the Maine Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column has won the Maine Democratic primary. In the state of Nebraska, we don't have a call yet. However, we are saying that it is a tight race. It's a three-way race right now between Bo in the fifth column, John Pelvots, and Deirdre Aboud, who is getting now 30% of the vote in the Nebraska Democratic primary. In the North Dakota Democratic primary, it is a very tight race right now between Bo in the fifth column, John Pelvots, and Nellie Hines. In the Idaho Democratic primary, in the Wyoming, and in the we have a major call to make right now. The Bo in the fifth column will be winning the Wyoming Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column has won the Wyoming Democratic primary. In the Idaho Democratic primary, we don't have a call yet. However, Bo in the fifth column is in a lead. Nellie Hines is in second place. In the Washington Democratic primary, they're saying that Nellie Hines currently leads. But John Pelvots is in second place, and Deirdre Aboud is in third place, defeating Bo in the fifth column. Amazing. We have our first call right now for Deirdre Aboud. We are now projecting that Deirdre Aboud will be winning the Nebraska Democratic primary. Didra Aboud has won the Nebraska Democratic primary in a major win for Didra Aboud. Didra Aboud has taken her first state. Didra Aboud has won the Nebraska Democratic primary and all its delegates. Her first victory. We are also prepared to call Didra Aboud the winner in the Hawaii Democratic primary. Didra Aboud is rolling tonight. Didra Aboud has taken the Hawaii Democratic primary. Wait, we have to backtrack here. It appears we made a missed call. We are retracting a call we made for Didra Aboud for in Hawaii. She has won the Nebraska primary, but she has not won the Hawaii one yet. It is too close to call. John Palvatz apparently is leading in the Hawaii Democratic primary. In the North Dakota Democratic primary, it is too close to call. We wait and we wait and we wait. Okay, we have a call to make in Hawaii now, and we are saying that John Palvatz will be coming on top in the Hawaii Democratic primary. The winner, the real winner of the Hawaii Democratic primary is going to be John Palvatz. A big disappointment for Didra Aboud. We do apologize for a missed call. John Palvatz is the winner in the Hawaii Democratic primary. We apologize to Miss Didra Aboud for miscalling Hawaii for her. It is the real winner is John Palvatz of the Hawaii Democratic primary. John Palvatz has won the Hawaii Democratic primary. We are calling the Idaho Democratic primary right now for Bo in the fifth column. Bo in the fifth column has taken the Idaho Democratic primary. We're saying that Didra Aboud is at 20% in North Dakota. John Palvatz is at 10% in North Dakota. Natalie Hines and Bo are neck and neck in North Dakota right now. We are calling the North Dakota Democratic primary for Bo in the fifth column right now. Bo in the fifth column has won the North Dakota Democratic. Bo in the fifth column has won the North Dakota Democratic primary. And we are saying that John Palvatz and Natalie Hines are neck and neck right now in the Washington State Democratic primary. John Palvatz and Natalie Hines are neck and neck in Washington State right now. We're saying that John Palvatz will be winning the Washington State Democratic primary by a slither of a vote. Just over 1%, John Palvatz has defeated Natalie Hines in the Washington State Democratic primary and has won the Washington State Democratic primary. We have now the next round of Super Tuesday calls. The next round of Super Tuesday calls include Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, not Illinois, and Ohio. We have a major call to make right now that John Palvatz will be winning the Ohio Democratic primary. John Palvatz has won the Ohio Democratic primary. In a major win for Mr. Palvatz, John Palvatz has won the Ohio Democratic primary. In the Michigan Democratic primary, we are calling it for Bo in the fifth column. Bo in the fifth column has won the Michigan Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column wins the Michigan Democratic primary. In the Mississippi Democratic primary, the projected winner is Nellie Hines. Nellie Hines has won the Mississippi Democratic primary. Nellie Hines has taken the Mississippi Democratic primary. This race is as close as they come. Right now, we have Nellie Hines standing with 107 delegates. Nellie Hines with 107 delegates. With Bo in the fifth column with 82 delegates. Bo in the fifth column, 82 delegates. John Palvatz in the lead right now to be the front runner with 121 delegates. And Deidre Aboud right now with 5 delegates from the state of Nebraska. We're waiting on Missouri, which is a 3-way race right now. With Deidre Aboud getting 5% of the vote, Missouri is a 3-way race between Bo and John Palvatz. Bo apparently is leading, but Nellie Hines is not far behind. We're calling the Missouri primary right now for Bo in the fifth column. Bo in the fifth column has won the Missouri Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column wins the Missouri Democratic primary. Our next round of Super Tuesday calls. The Arizona, Florida, and Illinois Democratic primary. Next round of Super Tuesday calls include the Arizona, Florida, and Illinois Democratic primaries. We have a major call right now. We're saying that Nellie Hines. No. We can't call Illinois yet. It is a very close race right now. Illinois is a very close race between John Palvatz and Nellie Hines. They are neck and neck right now. They are battling it out. Nellie Hines and John Palvatz are battling it out in Illinois. In the Florida Democratic primary, Bo in the fifth column is said to have a home state advantage in the Florida Democratic primary. However, he is battling it out with Nellie Hines, with Deidre Aboud getting 10% of the vote. In the Arizona Democratic primary, it is very close right now. They're saying Deidre Aboud is really putting her eggs in this basket right now. She is now getting about 40% of the vote in Arizona. She is getting 40% of the vote in Arizona. But she is slightly behind John Palvatz right now. And if she loses Arizona, it's a big. With Bo in the fifth column getting about 20% of the vote, and Nellie Hines getting less than 10% of the vote. Nellie Hines is behind in Arizona. Nellie Hines is dead last in Arizona. This is going to be a real disappointment right now for Deidre Aboud. Deidre Aboud's eggs are in this basket right now and for the Arizona Democratic primary. But she is currently losing to John Palvatz right now. She is receiving about 40% of the vote to the 50% of the vote, to the 10% of the vote, to the less than 10% of the vote. This is going to be a really bad night. Very unfortunate for Deidre Aboud. She is behind in her home state of Arizona to John Palvatz. We have a call to make in Arizona, and we're saying that John Palvatz has defeated Deidre Aboud. John Palvatz has defeated John Palvatz has defeated Deidre Aboud in the Arizona Democratic primary. Very, very sad for Deidre Aboud. Very sad. In the Illinois Democratic primary. We're also saying that John Palvatz will be winning the Illinois Democratic primary, defeating Natalie Hines. John Palvatz has defeated Natalie Hines in the Illinois Democratic primary. And in the Florida Democratic primary, we are calling it now for Bo in the fifth column. Bo in the fifth column has taken the Florida Democratic primary in a win in his home state. Now we are seeing something happen. We have now an announcement to make right now. Deidre Aboud has not dropped out yet. She is going to fight on a little longer, but soon she is going to drop out. She says anything else, she's going to see how this goes in the next primary, which is going to be Deidre Aboud is putting her eggs, and if she loses the Wisconsin Democratic primary, she will be dropping out. We are now doing the Wisconsin Democratic primary. The Wisconsin Democratic primary. It is said very simply that John Palvatz will be winning the Wisconsin Democratic primary. John Palvatz has won the Wisconsin Democratic primary. And now we're saying that Deidre Aboud has dropped out of the race. Deidre Aboud has made the announcement that she has been withdrawn for the presidential race for the Democratic nomination, and she has dropped out of the race. Deidre Aboud has dropped out of the race. After winning her sole state of Nebraska. Deidre Aboud won the state of Nebraska, but she has dropped out of the race. The remaining three candidates are John Palvatz, Bo, and Natalie Hines. So sad for Deidre Aboud. Now the next round of primaries are going to include Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. These primaries will be in the Northeast right now. Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. In the Maryland Democratic primary, it is said very simply that Natalie Hines will be taking the Maryland Democratic primary. Natalie Hines stays in the race by taking the Maryland. Natalie Hines stays in the race by taking the Maryland Democratic primary. Natalie Hines has taken the Maryland Democratic primary. In the Pennsylvania Democratic primary, it's a tight race right now between Bo in the fifth column and Natalie Hines, with John Palvatz behind. Such a shame. There was a missed call for Deidre Aboud, and then she lost. We are now calling. We're saying that Delaware is too close to call. It's between Bo in the fifth column and John Palvatz. Bo in the fifth column and John Palvatz in the state of Delaware with Natalie Hines behind. In the Connecticut Democratic primary, we can now say, as in the Massachusetts and then the Rhode Island Democratic primary and the Connecticut Democratic. No, not the Connecticut one. We apologize. In the Rhode Island Democratic primary, we're saying that Nellie Hines will be taking the Rhode Island Democratic primary. Nellie Hines has taken the Rhode Island Democratic primary. Right now, Nellie Hines currently stands at a tie with Bo in the fifth column. 121 delegates. 121 delegates to 121 delegates. Nellie Hines and Bo in the fifth column are in a tie right now, both losing to John Pallvatz, who is currently the Democratic frontrunner. We have a major call to make right now. A major call to make in the Pennsylvania Democratic primary. It is a shocker that Nellie Hines has taken the Pennsylvania Democratic primary. Nellie Hines has won the Pennsylvania Democratic primary. Nellie Hines has taken the Pennsylvania Democratic primary. Wow. Nellie Hines will also be taking the Connecticut Democratic primary in a split vote between John Pallvatz and Bo. With John Pallvatz behind coming in last place in the Democratic primary in Connecticut 20%. Nellie Hines has come up with the plurality of the vote. Less than 50% will be taking the Democratic primary in the state of Connecticut. We're saying that John Pallvatz will be taking the Delaware Democratic primary. In the Delaware Democratic primary, the winner is John Pallvatz. John Pallvatz has won the Delaware Democratic primary. It's not over for Bo yet. We are waiting. Bo has refused to drop out yet. He is still fighting on. We are waiting on. We are now ready for the next. We are now waiting for the Indiana Democratic primary. The Indiana Democratic primary. Bo is expected to do well there. Bo has put a lot of effort in there. Nellie Hines, in the current vote total, Nellie Hines is in last place in the Indiana Democratic primary. Bo is in an early lead right now. Currently beating John Pallvatz. We have a call to make, actually. The Bo in the fifth column will actually be accomplishing his mission and taking the Indiana Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column has won the Indiana Democratic primary. Next round of. We are now doing the West Virginia. Now we are doing the West Virginia Democratic primary. It is said very simply, the Bo in the fifth column. Bo in the fifth column will be winning the West Virginia Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column has won the West Virginia Democratic primary. Always won the Democratic primary in the state of West Virginia. 137, 148, 165. It is not over yet. We are now starting Arkansas, Kentucky, and Oregon. And this is an unfortunate moment for Deirdre Aboud. Arkansas, Kentucky, and Oregon primaries are coming up next. It's an unfortunate moment for Deidre Abboud because she believes she could have done very well in Oregon. It was her home. She was from Oregon. That's where she was born. Arkansas. Deidre Abboud was from Arkansas. That's where she was born, but she did lose, and she's not in the race anymore. And in the Kentucky Democratic primary, it is said very simply that Beau in the fifth column has won the Kentucky Democratic primary very easily in a rather large margin. He appears to be coming back in the primaries. It is also said that Beau in the fifth column will be winning the Oregon Democratic primary. Beau in the fifth column has once again taken the lead over Natalie Hines. Beau in the fifth column has taken the lead over Natalie Hines in winning the Oregon Democratic primary. Now, Beau in the fifth column has 152 delegates to Natalie Hines' 148, with John Pallotz continuing to be in the lead at 165. Resources report into Arkansas right now, and now they're saying that Beau in the fifth column has won the Arkansas Democratic primary. Beau in the fifth column has won the Arkansas Democratic primary. It is not over yet. No one is dropping out. These three are fierce fighters. John Pallotz leading, currently on his way to being the Democratic frontrunner, with Beau in the fifth column second place and Natalie Hines currently in third place, but she is not going anywhere. Natalie Hines continues to fight on. She recently said in a speech she's going to fight on, and she's going to fight on and then trample President Trump. The next round of Democratic primaries start now. The next round of Democratic primaries consists of Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Deidre Abboud thought she could have done well in New Mexico. It is a shame that she is no longer in the race. It is said now very simply that Beau in the fifth column will be winning the Montana Democratic primary. Very easily, apparently, in a landslide. Beau in the fifth column wins the Montana Democratic primary. Beau in the fifth column now appears to be closing in on John Pallotz. They are now neck and neck, 161 to 165. 161 and 165 with Natalie Hines behind at 148. We're now saying that it is a very close race right now in New Jersey between John Pallotz and Natalie Hines. Beau in the fifth column is in last place in New Jersey, but Natalie Hines and John Pallotz are in a neck and neck race right now. It is between Beau in the fifth column and Natalie Hines in the South Dakota Democratic primary. It's too close to call. We have a call to make right now, a major call to make. It is said that John Pallotz will be winning the New Jersey Democratic primary. John Pallotz has won the New Jersey Democratic primary in a major upset humiliatingly defeating Natalie Hines, John Palvatz has defeated Natalie Hines in the New Jersey Democratic primary. John Palvatz has defeated Natalie Hines in the New Jersey Democratic primary, and it was a close race, too. It is said that Bo in the fifth column will be winning the New Mexico Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column has won the New Mexico Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column wins the New Mexico Democratic primary. We have a call to make right now. It is said that Natalie Hines has won the South Dakota Democratic primary in a major relief for her. Natalie Hines has taken the South Dakota Democratic primary with the split vote, John Palvatz getting 10% and Bo getting less than half of that. Natalie Hines has taken the South Dakota Democratic primary. Major and much needed win for Natalie Hines in the South Dakota Democratic primary. Natalie Hines takes the South Dakota Democratic primary. Right now, the tally stands at 151 delegates for Natalie Hines, 166 delegates for Bo, and 179 for John Palvatz. With the next round of polk, it's getting down to the wire right now. In the Washington, D.C. Democratic primary, it is said very simply and very easily that Natalie Hines will be winning the Washington, D.C. Democratic primary. Another sigh of relief for Natalie Hines as she takes the Washington, D.C. Democratic primary. This is the final wire now. We are going to be watching the primaries come in from Minnesota, Kansas, Colorado, Utah, and Alaska. This is going to be the final breakdown of which candidate of the three will be going against President Donald Trump in 2016. This is the final breakdown right now to see who's going to be nominated to go against Donald Trump in the mainline 2020 election. This is it. As we see the final primaries go, we are now ready to call. The Utah Democratic primary has gone to Bo in the fifth column. Bo in the fifth column has won the Utah Democratic primary. In the Minnesota Democratic primary, it is too close to call between Bo in the fifth column and John Palvatz. In the Kansas Democratic primary, they're saying the Bo in the fifth column will be taking the Kansas Democratic primary. And with that win in the Kansas Democratic primary, Natalie Hines has dropped out. Natalie Hines can no longer be the Democratic nominee to go up against Donald Trump in the main election. It is way too close to call right now in Minnesota. It is way too close to call right now in Colorado. We are saying that Bo in the fifth column will be winning. Bo in the fifth column has now taken the lead against John Palvatz as he won the Alaska Democratic primary. Bo in the fifth column wins the Alaska Democratic primary with now 181 to 179. Natalie Hines has dropped out of the race. It is between Bo in the fifth column and John Palvatz. Now we are watching the last two primaries in Minnesota right now. In Minnesota, 181 for Bo right now. Bo is the front runner right now. 179 for John Pallebots. We have a call to make right now, a major call to make, and that is that John Pallebots will be winning. John Pallebots will be winning the Minnesota Democratic primary. Once again, taking the lead for the front runner. Ooh, this is close. John Pallebots has won the Minnesota Democratic primary. It is the closest primary we've ever seen right now. It is really, really, really close right now. Right now, the state of Colorado, it comes down to the people of Colorado who's going to decide who is going to be the nominee. It is so close right now, 181 right now for John Pallebots, 189 for Bo in the fifth column. Right now, the race is very slim right now. Bo in the fifth column is leading John Pallebots by less than a point right now in the Colorado Democratic primary. Now they're saying that John Pallebots has taken the lead. It is so close right now. It is so close right now in Colorado. We are ready. Rural Colorado is coming in. We have a call to make right now, a major call to make and a significant one. And it is now that John Pallebots, we are now saying that John Pallebots will be winning the Democratic nomination 180 to 189 to 5. John Pallebots has defeated Bo in the fifth column. John Pallebots has defeated Bo in the fifth column in winning the Democratic nomination. Oh, this is what he dreamed of. John Pallebots has won the Democratic nomination for 2020. John Pallebots has defeated Bo in the fifth column. He went up against Natalie Hines and Deirdre Aboud and Bo in the fifth column. And John Pallebots has won the Democratic nomination. Now we all know this pastor in the North Carolina church, this major critic of President Trump, this blogger who has been quoted many times, he will be going up against Donald Trump in the 2020 election. John Pallebots will be taking on his biggest nightmare. This is going to be the biggest moment of his life. This is the final battle right now. John Pallebots has defeated Bo in the fifth column, Natalie Hines, and Deirdre Aboud. He's been waiting for this moment. They are celebrating right now. He's been waiting for this moment. He is ready he said all kinds of things about President Trump. Now these two are going to be going neck and neck in November for the 2020 election. The battle is on.